can see Vikram.
You want to say a lot about me, or it doesn't matter? Okay, yeah. Yeah, we can save time, right? If anybody wants to know more about me, I'll tell you after this session is over. So I think it's time to call the participants one by one. And so I'm asking the people at the back, you have all the presentations for the bios? Yes? Okay, good. So you please put up the first one, Mr. Bhaskar Sarkar. Or you can put up what you have. Bhaskar, come and sit, Let's see what they've got. Yeah, here it is. So Bhaskar is the Chief Business Officer at Adani Cooling Solutions, and he has many years of experience in the power sector and 4 years in telecom. And we will hear more about him as we go along. One of India's leading companies in supplying all sorts of energy, water, building, construction, district cooling. So our next presenter will be Bala Senthil Raj. So Bala, you here? Come. So Bala Senthil Raj is Senior Vice President, Head MEP at K. Rahejas, and he has 30 years of experience. He also worked, not also, but he did work a lot in the Middle East, and he has experience coming from there. And now he's here very much with us in India and Bombay, and he will share his experience with us about what we have to ask him. Can we have Aarti Nayan? Yes, here we are. So Aarti, here you are. So Aarti Nayan, representing UNEP today. She has over 15 years of experience working on energy efficient buildings, and currently she serves as UNEP advisor for cooling at the National Institute of Urban Affairs. So that's wonderful, and we're going to ask her some special questions with regard to district cooling and working with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency. And after that, we can go to Manoj. I didn't see Manoj. Manoj, you here? Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, we didn't meet earlier in the evening. Come, Manoj. So Manoj heads design engineering and project at DLF, one of India's very large developers, overseeing luxury apartments, commercial developments, and he has some interesting perspectives on what should we do with district cooling or what should we not do, right? Yeah, okay, good. So after that, I'll call Karthik, the young man, maybe the youngest on the panel, I'm not so sure, but maybe he is, yeah. So Karthik had designed he's a director at SKF Consultants. This is one of India's leading consultants, and a long legacy of doing wonderful projects in India and many places outside India as well. And he has managed diverse projects, and he's active in ASHRAE, and I'm in the same chapter of ASHRAE as him. And so Karthik will tell us something about district cooling, and it's nice, we have a nice diverse set of audience. And then finally we have Rajiv. Please come, Rajiv. Rajiv is from ABS Fujitsu. He has 32 years of experience. He's worked for leading companies in India, and now he's doing business development in ABS Fujitsu. He's also involved with what Anurag spoke about, the Gift City project, so we'll hear more about that from Rajiv. But I can't see all of you in the audience. I imagine you all are awake to what's happening here. But just give me a minute. Interestingly, I have a question for you, audience. You're also part of the panel, all of you, okay? So you don't mind, I'm going to ask them a question, all right? And so you will help me, Rakesh, because we are going to get a quick show of hands. I'm asking just one question, because we don't have so much of time. So that question is, I'm going to read out a question, I'm going to read out 3 answers, and then I will say answer A. How many think answer A is the right answer? Raise your hands. Then I'll say answer B, again raise your hands. Answer C, raise your hand. You can raise your hand for all the 3 answers, no problem. But we'll try and see which question gets the most response, all right?
So here's the question of KBC. I think you're playing KBC with people.
No KBC. This is just to see who's listening to me, and all of you, because these guys have come from God knows where, all over the place, yeah? So here's the question. So what will accelerate the introduction of district cooling in India? Answer A, a government policy that mandates district cooling for single group multi-building facilities. So that's the first answer. So I'm saying a government mandate will help to move district cooling if it's a large set of buildings. So you have to do district cooling. B, private developers who adopt district cooling as a business opportunity. So that's the second answer. The third answer is large companies collaborating and institutions taking up district cooling as a means to reduce energy costs and meet decarbonization goals. So you got the answer very broadly. First was policy, second was private developers, and third was because it's good to do. So you got the idea. So how many are in favor of answer A? Rakesh, आप देख लेना. आधे तो सो गए. अच्छा, हाँ, ठीक है. Okay, good, very nice. Who are in favor of answer B? वे लोग फिर से? नहीं, अच्छा. Who are in favor of answer C? This looks good. So answer C wins?
Answer C is win.
So how nice that you think it's a good thing to do, and that's why we're doing it. And that's why you have wonderful people here on this stage. And Hassan set the whole ball rolling. So I don't think we need to explain anything more about district cooling, because I'm going to get to my questions if I find them. Yeah. So who shall we go with? Youngest, you get the first question. Karthik. You know, as I grow older, I think I should be more connected with younger guys like you. So we're going to have fun. Right? Karthik, air conditioning by a large central plant is one big project in Delhi, and then many of you have gone over there. It's the GMR airport, one of India's large airports, largest maybe at present. So that airport is air conditioned, the terminal building by a very large central plant, which sits quite some distance away from the terminal building. You see that huge big building, the plant. And it air conditions the terminal building and maybe one or two other buildings, I'm not very sure. But then in addition, there are a large number of hotels, shopping, restaurants, and multiple buildings around that, which is called Aero City. Okay? Each of these buildings has their own central cooling plant. Now, let's say you, Karthik, today were the consultant for one of the buildings to do the cooling, MEP, other things. Let's say a building which is a large hotel, and you were the consultant. So, would you welcome a district cooling plant to serve that particular building and others? And if yes, why would you favor that? You got the question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first part of the question, I think Mr. Hassan has very well explained about why the DCS would be useful there. Yes, it would be very useful. Where it will help us for a new hotel building would be that we can save on a space of our chiller plant and its what associated auxiliaries, be it your what electrical, your gen sets. And to maybe go further, you could also think that the what other things like the sewage plant as well, if it is given centrally, it would help, because a bulk of the effluent which comes out of the STP is used for a central cooling plant.
Yes.
So that could take it further, and maybe if there are several hotels around in the vicinity, maybe you could even think of a central heating system, because these places need even hot water as well over there. So that's what I feel.
Oh, good. So that's a good answer. So you can see here we have a consultant who would favor district cooling if it's a large setup, and obviously hotels and different buildings appoint different architects and so on to build the building, and they would all love to have district cooling as a utility, just as you get water, just as you get electricity. If you could get district cooled, and he added some other services like STP and so on, so that would be wonderful. So next I am going to the lady on the panel, Aarti. And I'm going especially to her, because now let's set the tone for something that India is planning to do at many levels. So she's representing UNEP today, which is encouraging a lot of action based on the India cooling plan, but with specific reference to district cooling. They're working with the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, who some time back, along with an organization called GIZ, thought of starting a district cooling hub in India. So I represented Ishre, and we talked about that some years ago. And so now it's actually happened, and the first kickoff meeting happened last month in Delhi. And so this is happening with the support of UNEP, a district cooling hub, which will act as the center repository of all knowledge. It will encourage training. It will act as the facilitator for those who want to do district cooling. So I think it's a wonderful idea. And this was preceded by a district cooling guideline, which was released last year during the G20 event. And We at ISHRE helped to edit that. So we have lots of stuff available. So Aarti, can you tell us a little background about this district cooling hub which UNIP is supporting?
Thank you, sir, for that opportunity. UNEP has a long history of its involvement in district cooling systems. It started in South America and other countries, especially Chile. We have also established the Copenhagen Center, Energy Center, where we have training material on district cooling, and we also advise district cooling. And this is now the India avatar. The hub would try to resolve some of the solutions that Mr. Wadhwa listed out, the challenges to district cooling in the country. There will be three pillars. One is the policy and the regulatory side, helping the government at national and subnational levels establish conducive policies. Secondly, we will be looking at project development and financing, because that's the crux of the situations once the policies are in place, is how to design and implement viable plans, and the financing for them, securing the funding and financing. And lastly, the capacity building of stakeholders across the aisle. It could be on both on the supply side and the demand side. We are still thinking and talking with stakeholders, and you have been involved in the consultations, and I think many people in the hall have been involved in those consultations. How to build the structure of this hub, where to house it, and its long-term viability. It should be self-sufficient. So in that sense, we are planning to work with academic institutions who can set up the best practices and the guidelines, the market players who can bring in the market perspective and help in increasing the supply for technologies. And we are also looking to work with business schools to bring in the financing, because they would best know how to create the market investment opportunities as well.
So that's a wonderful answer. So you can see it's very nice that we are setting up the knowledge base to do all this, and we'll have all the tools ready for doing training and learning and improving and learning from whatever things happen. And UNEP is being a long supporter of this and other things in India. So I think that's wonderful. And we'll come to another question to you after some time. So now I am going to Manoj. Manoj, you're from DLF. And DLF is one of India's very large developers. They've done wonderful projects. Many of you know about them if you're in Delhi and other parts of India. So some of them involved cogeneration, it involved also using on-site renewable energy and things like that, which are all innovative things in the whole cooling space and energy space. So Manoj, DLF is embarking on many new projects and so on and so forth. So I'm saying that we may or may not be ready yet for large district cooling developer design projects, or we may be, doesn't matter. But I'm sure DLF must have gone a bit deep into this feasibility studies and so on and so forth about doing district cooling for their projects, because you can drive it based on your ability to have sites and places and shall we say the volume and the numbers. So can you give us some background about how DLF is approaching this, and what may be the drawbacks if you found some?
Yeah, thank you, Vikramji. So DLF is a future-ready enterprises, which our mandate is clear from management that we have to be future-ready for at least for 10 years. So intensive studies has been done on DCS. Our team has been to UAE and other countries to look into that. What we found that here in India, city infrastructure, basically in Gurgaon, where we have large development of cyber city, and the dynamic demand of customers, capital investment versus ROIs, 24-hour operations and volatile demand of customers. Some customer demands temperature at 18, some 22, some 24, some 26. So in this, when we fit in the business, in our business model, it was not viable at all. So right now, there is no planning of installation of DCS system. Yes, we are looking into where we are having large campus of 27, 28 acres. We are putting up 2-3 chiller plants at different locations, and we are interconnecting that to get the diversity in case of low load case. So right now, no DCS system, but this small sort of district cooling system. But yes, we are ready if some viable or solution comes, and this we get rid from these hurdles which we are facing. That's it.
So it's very interesting to hear that what you just said about putting many central plants and connecting them and using it, which is like the beginnings of a district cooling. Yeah, so the city of Singapore. So I had occasion to visit this Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association in Bangkok. They've held two meetings. They invited Ishri. So I went there twice so far. And so they are doing all these type of studies like what UNEP is doing here in India. But interestingly, Singapore is setting up a huge big development now in an expanded part of Singapore. I think Singapore eating up half the sea around it or whatever. So it's some 70,000 tons, but they are putting many district cooling plants, and Hassan showed some of that. So, so what you're doing is actually leading to something like that in future, you know. So that's the good thing. Interestingly, Srinivas, are you in the audience from Hyderabad? Oh, you're there. So at some time I will ask Srinivas because he has done some development in Hyderabad, but a little later, after I finish the question, to tell us about his experience doing residential district cooling in Hyderabad. But now I think I'll come to Bhaskar of Adani, and I had occasion to meet him earlier. And so the wonderful thing about Adani is that they have plans which are going well into the future for multiple things. So I wish to say about development of places which can do district cooling, or which may be good sites for district cooling. One of them is airports, like we have the Delhi airport and other airports, because they encourage a lot of other buildings to come up around there. You know, there could be all sorts of buildings because the airport becomes a hub. So in India, you know, like since independence and well before independence, the city of Visakhapatnam, the city of Mumbai, the city of Chennai, which was Madras then, these became India's big developments only because they were ports, right? And so they're also developing ports. This is just incidental what I'm saying. These could become new big opportunities for development and district cooling opportunities, because they will encourage employment, buildings, investments, commerce, trade, all sorts of things like that. So my question to Bhaskar is actually twofold. Let me just get to that question. Just a minute. Just give me a minute. Using the phone for a prompter, not a good idea if somebody decides to call you just when you're looking for the question. So here we go. Bhaskar. So I'm going to ask you two questions, Bhaskar. You can answer them one by one. So the first question is, or I'll ask you one and then we'll go to the second one. So because it's related, yeah. The first is, what areas do you foresee as the future of DCS business, district cooling system business in India, and what do you see as major risks and pitfalls?
Thank you. First, I would like to thank Ishri for giving us this opportunity to participate in this forum. As you rightly said, Adani Group is, has a huge presence in most of the infrastructure development projects in India, may it be the airports, and as you had asked the question to one of the participants, that airport alongside the city side developments, that also is a challenge. So that is one. Then there are ports, there are realty, there are commercial, and there are residential developments, data centers in a big way. So we have a good project lineup internally also, which is there, and our chairman's vision has been that the direction has been to us that any new building or any new project which comes to life should be only with district cooling solution, including the, as you all might be knowing, that we are doing the Dharavi rehabilitation. So we are doing the district cooling for even the Dharavi rehabilitation flats. All the rehabilitation flats has been announced that they will be provided air-conditioned flats. Even the 250 square feet, single bedroom flats will be through district cooling, and through the pipelines going up to the flats, the water pipelines, and it will be provided. So that is the level of the penetration which we are seeing from our own project sites. Plus, in the last few months, we have interacted extensively with all the big developers. We have found that there were a lot of apprehensions, lot of doubts, lot of misconceptions, or even risk perceptions from many of the developers that whether this will work, whether the end users will like it, whether the payment mechanisms will work or not. But we have proposed concept which is threefold. The first is that we are saying that it will be a cooling as a service model, which in the morning we saw Smart Jules talking about that also. So our cooling as a service is a little bit different because we offer cooling as a service backed by a single pay per use tariff model, which makes it very sort of totally headache free for the developers, and it becomes a new headache for us, at least that we know. In addition, what we are also providing is proposition of integration with the RE, the realty, the renewable energy, which Adani is there in a big way. So that also we are integrating, and we are providing that blended tariff, which gives a lot of lot of support in terms of lowering down the costs. So these are our proposals, and with this we feel that in the near future this will pick up in a huge way, and we have seen that there are very much positive responses from most of the developers, and everybody is aware of it, and they are keen to also take up this along with us. And definitely the commercial and other realty and other things have gone up already a long way. And as you mentioned, Mr. Srinivas from Synergy, we had seen how in the residential space he has through his innovative exercises made it possible. The beauty of residential, it's a big challenge, but it's actually going to be a game changer in the near future, because the load diversity is so low in the residential sector. So as we have seen his experiments, and we have also done a lot of studies that if a residential flat requires a certain X, you can actually plan for the district cooling plant at 0.15 or 10% or 15% of that. So that gives a lot of lower comfort on the cost part of it. Plus, if there is a mixed load development of commercial as well as residential, we are doing some projects in our own areas in ACC Thane, where there are some residential and some commercial. So if you do it for the commercial, the residential almost comes for free, because the commercial picks up during the day, residential will pick up during the night. So residential can be free of cost. So that is a big thing which can happen if properly planned and properly the load diversities are taken care. The second part of your question was on the pitfalls. Yes, because we are providing a cooling as a service, and we are doing the investment upfront without the visibility of the occupancy, or even the quantum of the actual offtake from the occupants, even when they come, and also that may go wrong. So one first risk may be the risk of wrong assumptions, which can continue
longer
for us.
period, yeah.
This has happened in Gift City in a big way. Now they have recovered to a large extent. The second point is a risk of the payment recovery, which also going by the Indian mentality, people may or may not pay, may decide not to pay, may decide to delay the payments. Even we have seen many electricity discoms have struggled to get their own payments. Even though they have the power of disconnection, they don't get payments. So
that will slowly change.
Yeah, and the third risk can be risk of stranded assets. We are upfront we are investing. The assets can be stranded after a period of time. So these risks are the pitfalls which we have to look forward. Plus, as we have seen during the morning also, the non-availability of data analytics and the non-availability of data-based assumptions to design is one of the things which can totally derail our assumptions. The lack of skilled manpower, so there is need for a proper skill development.
That's right, yeah.
And also the investment on artificial intelligence and monitoring will actually give the results of the optimization to a large extent. So these are the things which need to be taken care in a big way. Thank you.
So I'll come back to your second question, because I want to go to Bala now. So Bala Senthil Raj from Raheja Corporation, but interestingly, Bala has had many years of experience in the Middle East before he's come to India. And so I'm asking the question, I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit towards the end, because we spoke in the morning. So my question is, what are your organizational plans to provide cooling as a service for future large developments? And would it be considered a distinct convenience for your clients, for the clients of Raheja's, and a marketing advantage for your company? So you may relate your experience in UAE in this regard, but more recently, You are connected with developments around Mumbai and Navi Mumbai, and large spaces are being developed by you, in which, interestingly, there are a large number of organizations which are setting up data centers, which are heavy intensive use of electrical energy and cooling, and also they run 24 hours, 365 days. So give us some idea whether this provides you an opportunity, and in general about how your company is looking at this.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for Asray to call us for a panel discussion. As I mentioned that earlier, and also as a Rageja, we have a 5 vertical. Out of it, commercial is the bigger brand, and the residential and hotel, mall, and retail. This is a 5 what we have almost 50 million plus square feet of footprint across the India. And we identified where is the major chunk of energy going to be consumed in future, because we are heading towards net zero promises to the government by 2042. So we have to drive all our energy conservations in a bigger scale. Number one. Number two, there are challenges to control the consumption, because the clientele we have various segment. Now the additional one more vertical actually coming up very high. The demands are more for a data center, because one side your customer need is increasing, other side you have a target to bring it down to net zero, and one more side you have a limitation on land, and how to precisely control. Like Hassan, he worked with me in Middle East sometime earlier when we worked for a larger scale development in Dubai. I almost covered it, and there are challenges what he has mentioned. Number one, you people have to have the density to decide your load. Second is your energy modeling for all the various requirement. Third one, which he has actually particularly first itself he mentioned that your authority, that means regulations should be in your favor. Dubai kind of stuff, one single signature will be make sure the 5 square kilometer, one district cooling, whether the land is desert, they make the substation and district cooling first in place. Nobody occupied also doesn't matter. They make the infra ready, then only they call all the developer to bid the land to take it for their development. But here we don't have anything like that. If at all we go for it, we have to go with the existing buildings or existing landscape what we have. So the challenge here, we also discuss with operators like Adani, Tabri, and a couple of people, and even we ourselves planning to put it district cooling, because we see this is the future of India. We cannot avoid district cooling anymore, because the consumption in each household is going to be a major, and we cannot live without air conditioning. So now how to move forward is the bigger challenge for everybody. So we have a complex of 11 to 12 buildings in each area. Like Mumbai, we have east and west almost 24. In Hyderabad also almost 30 plus. And we are coming up as a cluster. Why don't we do it? Anything more than 10,000 ton. So is it good enough to invest? And we have to see as what is the rate of return any investor will look after. So that we wanted to join with any operator who is ready for cooling as a service. So we also give a certain camp charges to the end users, and we can charge it also if at all we invest. We put all the permutation combination. We are working on it. We'll definitely will come up with the district cooling 100% without any doubt. And the almost one more advantage for us actually, we are bringing up with the district cooling for the data centers, because data centers are by default they have a n plus 1 or n plus 2, those kind of combinations, and which is more on 24/7. When Hassan mentioned, he didn't put data center into the picture. He put residential, commercial, mall, hotel, because you have various kind of load requirement. So the equally you can optimize the energy. But data center 24/7, even for the for their backup also they have to have it full in hand. So by India 2040, we expect almost more than 3 gig of data center. Every city need to have it, because household each every person we have anticipated 40 GB per day. Now we are using 1.5 GB per day consumption. So and all the stuff that data gives us very serious note. You cannot avoid data centers anymore. That means you cannot avoid cooling anymore. That means you cannot avoid consumption of power anymore. So we have a long way to go, and we are ready to take a challenge.
So good. So in all the gloom, there's a lot of hope. So that's a good thing. So before I come back to each of you with some other questions, I'm going now to Rajiv from ABS, because we heard Anurag Parikh speak about what they are doing in Gift City. So my question to you, Rajiv, because you are a little bit involved and you are involved with that particular work. So getting in now, so I've been to Gift City a couple of times, and as we know, it took some time to start off because of demand. Buildings not being occupied, and now they are being occupied, whatever the incentives might be, and so on. So there may be a lot of challenges shall we say, a new, very large, let's say a big bank is moving in there, or a financial institution is moving into one of the buildings. So when they know that they have a central plant right down in the ground floor, they feel very comfortable that it will work, it will run, and everything else. So now, is you also part of the management of, are you from ABS also involved with the management to assure how the connection will be done? What is your minimum, shall we say, commitment for water supply, temperature? So interestingly, I noted, this is a technical question, that in the presentation which Anurag showed, that water is moving at 4.5 degrees centigrade, which is quite a low temperature in my opinion. So then the chiller also is probably running with that kind of condition. So are you getting energy efficiency? So my two questions are that what are the challenges on the mechanical and commercial side of connecting and convincing the customer? And secondly, that you are maintaining a low temperature. Is that the case because you want to assure of cooling on the other side? Or is it because the heat transfer station is not efficient? This is my question. You can answer them the way you like here.
First of all, let me thank you very much, and thanks the Ishri Conclave.
Just take it a little closer. Just closer to you. No, it's working. Yeah, it's working. Just take it closer to you.
Yeah. I think I am audible now.
Yeah.
See, first of all, let me thank the Ishri team and the Cool Conclave team for giving us an opportunity to showcase what projects and the capability. As coming to your question number one, that's like, see, the journey with the Gift City regarding currently we are doing one project, and we already total two projects. Out of one we have completed, and second one is under the execution. So first one is the tunnel piping, which journey had started almost what you can say around 2.5 years back, where after the COVID era, where there was a push from the central government also, like, because this is, as Darkar Sahab has mentioned, is a PM SPET project when he was there in the Chief Minister of Gujarat. At that time, this project has initiated. During the COVID era, project was at standstill, it was not moving, and after COVID, there was a push from the central government and also from the Gujarat that we need to push it further, as the now lands or the places, lot of construction activities are going on, lot of corporates are coming up like State Bank, LIC, National Stock Exchange, in fact Leelavati Hospital, hotels. So virtually big corporates are already, like what you can say, coming up. Certain buildings are under construction, but there was a limitation on the what you can say this chilling part. So we started, and we can jointly, because they also were discussing, I'm sure to others also, but they were discussing with us also, and they currently have an installed capacity of 10,000 tons of the chilling plant. So, but the tunnel piping was not laid down. That is where the questions. So the tunnel piping, it was a little challenging and the tricky task, because we need to lay down almost 1200 running meters, 1200 mm of the pipe, and the length is somewhere around 3 kilometers. You can say chilled water piping. So that is and also it was having what you can say offsets at various areas where we need to take out the tap off and the kind of the supports, because when you can visualize when so much of gallons of water is flowing through that pipe at a certain velocity, the kind of the supports which they had demanded, and to come to that actual requirement, it was mandatory for us to do the stress analysis, which was normally not the case in case of the conventional projects. So that also took lot of design engineering. We also got lot of insight, which I'm sure today in the HVAC, there are only few people who can have this kind of the knowledge, which we can design the kind of the supports and the kind of the piping which we laid down. Second challenge was what you can say is pre-insulated pipes which they were requiring, and that pre-insulated pipes were only being done by a couple of manufacturers, but they had wanted to standardize with only one of the suppliers. So we suggested during the designing stage, it is better that we can have embedded the leak detection system also, because that will also give us the, what we can say, easy from the maintenance, where the, suppose if anything happens during the running operations, so we can find out from where the leaks are happening. So that was also being accepted by them. The challenge what we found is the, what we call the support design. That's the challenge where we found, because otherwise, no, if we can use the conventional support, I'm sure just within week or 10 days pipe will come out of that support, because the kind of the pressure which, so critical areas that we need to find out, which are the critical areas of the piping where we need to do the reinforcement of the additional supports. So that can be done only with the stress analysis. This is number one. Number two is like connecting with the existing system, because that also is the biggest task, because they were not providing any, what we can say, shutdowns or anything, because it's a 24/7 operations. So connecting with the existing only during, why we can say, maybe certain Diwali time or something, they give only maybe a day or so, and then we need to finish. A lot of thinking, a lot of materials and the manpower which we need to arrange at that point of time. Third challenge which we observed is the flushing, because when you are flushing the pipes of 3 kilometers and that to 12, so which initially we are honestly to share with you, we also did not anticipate that this much is going to be the capacity of the pumps that we will be requiring. So when we had calculated, we also got surprised as well as to certain extent shocked also, okay, this is what we need to hire on temporary basis. But anyway, the results overall, when we executed, it has come out very well. Client has also been satisfied, and it was all done under the guidance, obviously, the team of GIFT City. This is what one project. Second project, what we are currently executing is one of the unique projects which no one in India has done till now. That is the construction of the thermal storage tank, which we are doing 20,000 ton hours, which will be running in tandem with the existing 10,000 tons hour. So total plant, by the time I think we are anticipating that we should be finishing by December or maybe January, where the weather will be favorable. So that is what the client is favoring. So total capacity in that case currently is from 10,000, it will become 20,000. And since there are a lot many, they have committed to their client, GIFT City, have committed to their customers. This is the time when we will be providing the chilled water tap off. So now the thing is that our team is working round the clock at site, because the construction and the heart of the system, which is the diffuser of the system, which we are getting it from the Spain, and now it is under the transit and should be, what you can say, this fabrication will start. So the team is already charged up, and kind of the pressures that which we are anticipating now for next 5 to 6 months is going to be an immense. And by the time I think the tank also gets commissioned, it is going to be one of the unique installations as of now in India, where people can see and see how the engineering has emerged as we have done as an ABS. So these are the couple of challenges which I thought of sharing with you, sir.
Yeah, very good. Nice, you shared them with us. Good. So I'm just going to take a step back and ask the question, which is related to all that we are talking about district cooling. Because see, district cooling is actually like an apex of central air conditioning and air conditioning in general. We have reached the stage of district cooling because of demand and being able to aggregate and connect loads and so on and so forth. For example, the city of Paris is the world's largest district cooling establishment, where the Olympics are going on now. Their district cooling system connects 5,000 buildings. So, you know, it's mind-boggling to imagine what they did. Of course, they started many years ago. And Paris is favored with not such extreme hot weather, so they can use many advantages in that. The cooling of the cooling towers is done by water from the river Seine, which interestingly keeps very cool because of the way in which it is constructed, is making use of ground level and below the ground level cool conditions. And so the point is that to get to this stage, we must have a maturity as a country, even though we have not penetrated a lot with air conditioning in India, but we need it because the millions of people who aren't served in India, unlike all of you here who are well served from when you were born or maybe a little later. So those who are not well served require that, and we as a community require to think of how to get the India Cooling Action Plan rolling, which the Ministry of Environment released in 2020. So Aarti here is representing UNEP, which has been supporting this India Cooling Action Plan, which also has district cooling as a part of it. And also now UNEP is advisor to the National Institute of Urban Affairs, right? Yeah. So you just give us a little background, because this will set the context for my next question, that how is UNEP supporting the various aspects of the India Cooling Plan? Because that will help me to frame my next question, yeah.
So, district cooling was the starting point for us in India, but we soon realized that it's more holistic. You know, cities especially face the urban heat island effect that we know, and that's going to increase the demand, which means more and more equipment, whether it's DCS or it's split air conditioners or whatever. So now we have gone back to the drawing board in the sense that we are also supporting cities through Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs in understanding urban heat island patterns in cities. We are trying to do it across smart cities and Amrut cities and so on and so forth. Help them guide, drive them towards mitigating urban heat islands so the demand reduces. We are also looking at maybe an issue that maybe may not be a very commonly used word, but we are also looking at passive cooling in buildings, especially because you talked about those who cannot access active systems because they just cannot afford them. It becomes very relevant, especially now that the country is so focused on affordable housing through schemes such as Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. So there also we are trying to see how we can introduce sustainable cooling, mostly through passive means, and also at the city level. Apart from that, we are definitely looking at procurement systems. So all of these existing technologies, the second generation of efficient technologies and emerging technologies, the market increases for them, and that is going to increase. One way of that is that it is integrated into the procurement system of governments. Once that is done, then the market can pick up easily from there. So that is also we are supporting. And of course, finally, we are also trying to help cities in improving the urban planning, both for DCS and other things, because right now we have tried, for example, we are advising Pune in their climate action plan, and we advise them to have a DCS cell in the next 5 to 10 years and all. And we understood the challenges. The bylaws are such that quite a lot of planning is not in their hands. It's managed at the state level, whereas the city is the one which needs these systems. So we are also looking at how we improve urban planning and design practices to ensure that all of these cooling technologies which are recommended by ICAP is integrated. And obviously the codes, which is the cornerstone of India Cooling Action Plan, we are trying to do that. In the cold chain sector, we are working with Bureau of Energy Efficiency to establish energy efficient pack house design guidelines, and we have recently with SIDBI moved investment in that direction towards large scale investment in private sector led cold chain infrastructure. So those are some of that. Thank you.
So wonderful, that's very nice. So it's always good to have international organizations advising us for a long road ahead. So we heard from all the panelists over here multiple aspects of district cooling and some of the difficulties with it. So I'm going to ask Bhaskar a question. So Bhaskar, because your organization is embarking on multi-dimensional developments in various parts of India. So you think, so here's the point. So there is a need for a lot of, I'll try to put it in a more simplistic way. There are a lot of roadblocks in terms of physical things, municipal permissions, crossing roads, underground, digging, tunneling, planning, like when you do a big development, you set up the cables and the water supply, everything is properly planned. So similarly, you'll have to do it for district cooling. So there is a need for what we might term very simply as advocacy. So what are your plans for district cooling, shall we say, in the future to advocate for policy changes of multiple possible roadblocks for district cooling? So your organization is well poised to imagine what these are and how can we advocate them to a multiple set of those who give these permissions. Yeah.
So before we get into the permission part, I would like to take up another very important point in this advocacy, which you rightly pointed out. That is the tariff part of it. See, because today district cooling is not recognized as an industrial activity; it is recognized as a commercial activity, which attracts the highest tariff in any of the regulators across the Indian states. However, if we draw a comparison with a similar activity, which is say cold storage, they also take the water and cool it just below the freezing point and the water freezes. But we stop just above the freezing point. But they are, because the government wants to promote cold storages, they are getting a subsidized tariff, which is much, much lower, and that helps them to thrive. So if you take up IT and ITES, the government had taken up an initiative to promote IT and ITES, and that's why they are taken up as, they are considered as an industry. They do not have anything of industry, but it is considered, and they also get a tariff which is industrial tariff and separate tariff which is given to them. Similarly, like EV, like railways, all these are having subsidized tariffs because there's a need to protect it. But the potential of district cooling to reduce the entire carbon footprint, to reduce the entire power consumption, whether it is the peak demand or it is the energy consumption plus the water consumption, it's actually contributing hugely to the meeting of the sustainability targets of India. So that thing actually has to be taken up very strongly with the regulators to give the district cooling a status of getting a subsidized tariff. That will make the district cooling tariffs more palatable to the developers and to the end users, and that will make it, is one of the most important things which will make it thrive. So that is the first thing. We are working, already we have started working with the FOIR and few of the regulators we are approaching, but I think ISHRE can do a lot on this, the tariff part of it, because that is a need of the hour. We have to have a tariff which is subsidized and which gives the our tariff to the end users, makes it palatable. That is the first point. The second point, as you rightly said, is the municipal norms that need to be modified to allow the laying of the district cooling chilled water, insulated chilled water pipelines alongside the roads, like the right of way is given for sewerage, water, drinking water, electric cables, optical fiber. So that municipal rules need to be modified to allow that as a common facility for the town areas, because then only it will thrive. Then only we'll have like UAE large centralized plants which will offer to all the various residents and commercial establishments. Now we are limited to only the perimeter of the developers' premises, and if there are two developers who are doing it, we cannot link it. So that linking, if the municipal norms are modified, will give a big respite, and both the cost can be optimized. And that is the second part. And the third is also the RE integration. The RE integration has to be allowed, and there has to be some sort of subsidy or some sort of tariff relaxations given to the use of renewable energy if you are using it for district cooling, because earlier there were a lot of such things like reduction in the transmission charges or reduction in the cross subsidy surcharge, those are not taken out. But I think only for to support the district cooling tariff to be much more palatable, the RE tariffs or RE subsidies or RE support need to be provided. And the last but not the least is the the building code, the IGBC and the ECBC norms need to be modified or need to be tweaked to allow to ensure that certain restrictions be given, that beyond this capacity you have to go for DCS, or beyond when you are going for a platinum certification or some of these ECBC certifications, district cooling has to be made a part of that, and if that is there, the scoring has to be more. So that will also help the people to have the pull factor. Now it's only working as per a push factor. So all these have to be worked upon. We are trying in our capacity, but I think ISHRE and other platforms can definitely help on that.
Good. Thank you, Bhaskar. So, interestingly, for all of you here and for you on the panel, so there is a national building code which is in progress and being written, and we in ISHRE are tasked with writing all the different parts of the HVAC related subjects and so on and so forth. So we are doing, we have a small subcommittee which is doing it for district cooling. So we have made the first draft ready and we have given it. So soon that will come out for public comment, for everybody to comment on it. And so it will be good at that time to get all the comments in properly, so this code is properly put out and it helps developers to move forward with that. So I think this is a good thing which is happening. And so this brings me to another point which I wish to invite Mr. Srinivas over here. So Srinivas, can you just come forward and you can occupy my chair and answer the question which I'm going to ask you. So interestingly, he's done and led some development work in the city of Hyderabad for residential district cooling. And also I had the opportunity of working with another ISHRE member, please sit down. His name is Professor Vishal Garg, who was in Hyderabad but now lives in, sit. It's okay. Who lives in Chandigarh, and in his university there, they have set up district cooling laboratory where lots of things are going to be tried out and tested. So you can see how different parts of India and different institutions and different organizations and different support systems are there to get district cooling into its best possible way to practice it in India. So I'm going to ask Srinivas to tell me a bit about his experience of the early projects in Hyderabad, for which we did a very good study, which we included in the Bureau of Energy Efficiency's district cooling guideline. We did a very detailed, in-depth calculation of how it is working and all the measurements and all the parameters are given in that. But Srinivas told me today, which is why I called him over here, that he's done a much bigger project recently for a much larger set of buildings. So he can tell us a little bit about that experience, because these are largely purely residential type of things. So just let them know about it so they know that this is another type of development happening in India.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vikram, and first of all, giving me this opportunity to share my experience on this. I would say somewhere in 2016, the first project what we did for residential centralized air conditioning was commissioned. In fact, our builder, he wanted to have a clean facade without any of the outdoor units to be visible. So we thought the two options, one is VRV, other one is centralized air conditioning. So naturally, we wanted to see centralized air conditioning as the first choice, because we could also save some space, whatever we are going to allocate for the VRV. And even whatever that real estate price probably could be converted, it could be given as an advantage to the developers. And we realized the first thing is the cost should be more or less same like VRV. So that is what we achieved. We have given that air conditioning at 200 rupees per SFT. That time, even VRV was costing around 180 to 190 rupees per square feet. And with that, the developer is happy. And we also have saved almost 1.5 crore rupees in the electrical distribution cost by doing this. The only thing is we faced a lot of issues later. The society, when we wanted to hand over the project, you see, it's I want to tell you, 1 million square feet project, 380 very high-end apartments. And the total connected load, if we go for VRV, whatever we worked out is 4,400 TR, but we have done it in 800 TR. So everybody started asking how this system is going to work. And the society, naturally they are not technical people, they have appointed a third party. They have given a certification, the system is not going to work. And then we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. And then we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later, we got the system. So we have to fight a lot. I moved into the project. 2 months later I started staying with them, and then we established the whole thing with respect to, whatever the kind of concerns they had. And today, after 8 years of commissioning, 100% occupancy, it has been working very well, and no complaints from any of the occupants. We are running only around 450 to 475 TR. So this is what is the statistics what we have, almost 8 years of data. And then based on this, we have done the next project, that is 5 million square feet. This was also commissioned now around 3 years back, with around 1,500 very high-end apartments. They are the highest real estate prices so far in the city of Hyderabad. And then there also we have given, including all the internal, the cassettes and then entire piping with BTU meters, and we have the consumption pattern of each apartment and how it is being, used and other things. We have been tracking all this data even for the last 3 years for this project. And we have found out last month, May, where there was a 47 degrees centigrade of ambience, we are able to achieve whatever the required temperature and actual consumption. There also I would like to tell you the total connected load was 22,000 TR. What we have installed is 2,600 TR. And then whatever is recorded is only 1,800 TR so far, not more than that. And then this is working. Only thing is the first project we have gone for thermal energy storage. The only hitch what we had was the energy cost when we run the thermal energy storage, the brine chiller, was very high. When we conceived that project, we had a lot of power cuts. So naturally, when we looked at DG unit rate, that can definitely work out well. But when we work out based on the normal power, whatever the tariffs that is prevailing at present in the state, it was not at all working out. So the second project, whatever we did, that 5 million, we are not gone for thermal energy storage, but we have gone for a small chiller combination, so that the minimal chiller load only will be working, the 300 TR chillers will be working. Otherwise, it will go to 600 TR, multiples of 600 TR. And this also has been going on very well. We have done another 2 projects also. Another one is 145 apartments. Another one is a villas project, quite interesting. 70 villas, completely done with, again, thermal energy storage in most other 2 projects also. But again, we are not running thermal energy storage. It is being successfully run. The learnings, whatever we had, I just wanted to tell you, we have a fixed tariff which has been fixed for the whole project, 4 rupee 50 paisa per kilowatt hour thermal. That is what we have started charging. But whatever we see the rate during summer, where a lot of people, they use their air conditioning, it is as low as around 1 rupee 80 paisa or something. Whereas in winter, because very few people, they use, so that is going as high as around 10 rupees per unit. So some people started complaining why we are penalizing, for this time when we are not using. So maybe a seasonal tariff is one thing which we need to look at it, or maybe some kind of a 2-part tariff and other things. I think this is one thing. And second thing is the chillers. You can also see that, from 20% or 15% to 100% variation is what we have to achieve. Then only we'll be able to get a better efficiency of the whole system. This is another thing. And I can tell you, the system-wise, only one doubt still our occupants have got, that the system, will it really work in a long term or not. But we have an example. We have told them anytime there is a problem, we will definitely enhance the system. This is the undertaking given by the developer, because they were beside us, to support us for this kind of initiative. And today it is running all the 4 projects. People are happy. There are absolutely no complaints. And only in between now we could not go ahead, because the government has come out with a regulation. Again, that is what is required from the advocacy side. Because we have a bulk power, which is not there in most of the other states. In Telangana and Andhra, we could get for higher residential communities like Gurgaon, we can get a bulk power meter. So that is how we could do the redistribution. But most of the other cases, they have single separate meter for every residential apartment. Here now what they have done is, they said the common area load should not be more than 20% of the total connected load. But naturally, once the moment you take air conditioning load into this, the common area load, as a common area load, this is going almost 50 to 60% or more than that, than their total connected load. So this is one of the hitch where we are unable to move forward. We have been trying and to convince the authorities, but these projects are going on, without any issue, because that rule does not apply for these things. So these are the learnings from it. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you, Srinivas. Thank you for that. So now we are coming towards the end of our time. And if there are a couple of questions, we can take them. Otherwise, the sessions chair is going to bring out his cane. So there's a place to ask questions if anyone wants to come here. Ashish, make the question short and the answer even shorter.
Well, my name is Ashish Vaishnav. I have been over the years involved with thermally activated technologies for cooling, absorption chillers and absorption chillers. So, having participated in various projects across the world, district cooling as a word is great, but India with the challenge of power, and I was not expecting the question from Adani, you put tariff subsidy for district cooling as one of the points. Why doesn't India look at district energy where cooling is embedded as a part of the overall solution by right generation? Adani is into gas, Adani into power, Adani into cooling. It makes a total sense, and if you look at the carbon footprint from a point of view of India's overall demand, where we are going to struggle next 20 years to build up the electrical load, the grid load for feeding the cooling demand. So this could be a great, because these are big loads which will be self-sustaining. And just to give an example, there is a hospital in Pune which is on island mode for the last 10 years with about 3 megawatt of generation of power and 1,000 tons of cooling.
Okay,
Thank you.
Ashish, yeah. So I'm just answering it very quick answer, then Bhaskar can please, because otherwise we run out of time. So I'm saying this is a very big policy matter which he's spoken about. We're not going to get a quick solution to that, but you can give him an answer. Yeah.
Yeah, but what I can tell you is that we are also looking at propositions of being utility of choice, where we can club together the power supply and the district cooling together, because both of it has its own balancing effects, which will actually to some extent be I think addressing your concern. But yeah, this is a concept which has a bigger advocacy and regulatory aspect which needs to come up as we mature in future.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I think many things we know. If there are no other questions, then you have a question? Yeah. So this is the last question.
I am Neeraj Kapoor from Delhi, Sustainability Energy Efficiency Consultant for the last many years. My question is for Rajiv ji and Mr. Sarkar. Very quick question. You mentioned about thermal energy storage in one of the projects, and my interest there is that what is the use of thermal energy storage tanks if there is no time of use, utility tariff structures, and what is the status of all of that on the utility side? Thank you.
Basically, the thermal energy storage tank, currently what they have is catering to 10,000 tons hour, which they are anticipating in the next financial year onwards, it will go down to more than 20,000 tons. Currently, the chiller installed is 10,000 tons only. So what they are going to store the energy in the tank, and that will be used, what you can say, for serving, because 20,000 tons hour, it's a huge requirement, but that you might have seen in earlier presentation which my colleague has given, where the size is 30 meters in diameters and 15 meters in height. So it is as good as you can consider as if one kind of a 7-floor or tower kind of thing with a huge campus. So that will be used to provide the, what you can say, air conditioning, what you can say, as per the demand requirement to the various offices which are being constructed over there.
Okay, thank you for that answer. So you would like to hear.
I just wanted to add one point on thermal energy storage, because see, if you are using a good mix of commercial and residential, commercial will be during the day and same energy will be used by residential in the evening and the night. So I don't think thermal energy will play a big role here, because whatever capacity you are having as spare in the night, that is used by the residential. But since GIFT City has less of residential as of now, thermal energy plays a big role, because you can use the spare capacity at night to store the energy and shut down one of the chillers during the day. But it will, whenever GIFT City also has a lot of residential, but that will be consumed during
Right.
the night, so it won't be required.
Just like in the old days in Mumbai, because water doesn't come all the time, we had a storage tank which can use. It's similar to that. So I think Rakesh, my job is done and you can wind up. Yes, of course, it is. So can you get that question answered? Because my time is up, so that's why I have to get out of here. Yeah, Rakesh.
Thank you, Vikram, for conducting it so well. I'm thankful to all the panelists who put their views, and thank you, audience, and I'm thankful to Cool Conclave also for giving us this opportunity. We were already running beyond time, but in my opinion, whatever I could gather, that district cooling represents a viable and sustainable solution for meeting India's growing cooling demand. I would say future-proof situation. By addressing the challenges and leveraging the opportunities, India can pave the way for widespread adoption of district cooling, contributing to energy efficiency, environmental sustainability, and economical growth. Bhaskar gave me I'm more convinced for this before I came with Bhaskar's interaction, and I think from here the future looks brighter, and that's all I just need to add. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mr. Rakesh Wata, for summarizing. So I would like to request our session chair, Mr. Rakesh, to felicitate our moderator first, Mr. Vikram Murthy. Okay, so we'll start with so we have to start with you, sir. To Mr. Bhaskar Sarkar. Yeah, sure. I would request Rakesh sir to also felicitate Mr. Bhaskar Sarkar. To Mr. Balachandran. To Ms. Aarti Nain from UNEP. To Mr. Rajiv Shah. To Mr. Manoj Singh. And to Mr. Karthik. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. And to felicitate our session chair, I would request presidential member, Mr. Ramchandran, to please come on stage. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. So we can have a group photo as well with the entire panel. So while we take the photograph, just an important announcement related to this particular topic of green financing in cooling and building industries is going on into a hall 2 So I would request all the interested participants to please join that session also in Hall 2, which is on green financing in cooling industries and buildings. Now on to the next track, which is going to happen in this particular hall.